Hi, I'm Bill, and this is the Dollar Bill channel. Today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the workhorse man and why they'll probably never retire from work. And if they do, for some strange reason, they won't even know what to do with themselves in their retirement. If you're seeing me here for the first time, please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and of course check out some of my other videos. It really helps out the algorithm quite a bit. So let's jump right in. Who is the male workhorse anyway? Who are we talking about here? These are the men that have primarily grown up or were born before 1980. This is going to include groups like Generation X, Generation Keeping Up with the Joneses, and of course, the baby boomers. These generations all have one thing in common. They saw the male as the main breadwinner. Now, I'm not talking about shirking on your responsibilities, especially for young men, or men that are quote unquote the man baby. We always want to take responsibility for our families, and we always want to take responsibility for ourselves. What I'm talking about here is how often we define ourselves as men. Men only being the main breadwinner, the only ones that can sustain the family financially, taking on the entire financial burden on their own. Well, maybe in the 1970s and prior to that, it might have worked out. If you're from an upper class family, you may still be able to follow that dream of, the dad working, the white picket fence, the two children at home. But for most working class folks nowadays, that dream is no longer true. It takes 1.5 jobs, or sometimes even 2, just to keep up with financial expectations. Having one person at home, the male workhorse, now that's not really going to work out so great for the dad. See, because when he goes to retire, probably around age 70, or when his health fails, he'll have just that definition of himself as the worker, the provider. He might not even know what to do with himself once he leaves work, if he ever leaves work. So what can we do about this? I think what we need to do about this as men is we need to broaden the definition of ourselves. See, women over the past few decades, they've had a chance to grow, a chance to develop beyond the quote-unquote traditional roles and the way society sees them. But for men, again, we're still seen primarily as that main workhorse, So the problem there becomes, what do we do with ourselves to broaden our definitions, to broaden those roles? Well, one thing that we can do, and this is going to sound strange, but you need to help out more at the house. You need to help out more in the home. If you want to be taken seriously, not just as a financial provider, but in some cases maybe even as a spiritual provider, or a person that is, I don't want to say a homemaker, but a little bit of a homemaker too. Whether that's taking that paternity leave, or doing some of the cooking and cleaning, doing some of the food preparation, some of the grocery shopping. Because see, what we need to do is move to a society that either is going to cut back on its expenses, which it will never do, or we need to move to a household that has 1.5 to 2 incomes. On the flip side of that, we do need to watch out, when it comes time to monitor our expenses. So often we're caught up in this mythology, as working men, as the provider, that we have to provide everything for our children. Sometimes we even provide so much we can disable our children. And if you haven't seen my video on the man baby, make sure you check that one out, because that one goes over everything about financially crippling a child. Not that everybody's going to be racing to see that video. But again, here as men, what we need to do is set an expectation where we do need to have that spouse having a part-time job, or even in some cases a full-time job, and sitting down with the family and really talking about what are our needs versus our wants. Because if we keep spending every single dime we make, we might need 2.5 salaries, which is not that uncommon, So as working class people, I think, the main things that we can do to really secure our definition of ourselves and achieve retirement is to, broaden that definition of ourselves, really help out in the home. But at the same time, not let that entire financial burden fall on our shoulders. That's not fair to us. That's not fair to our evolution. We have to grow as men. We have to demand the same expectations, that society has given to young women. We have to demand that we actually are growing as individuals. So that's really all I've got here for today. But don't forget to like, subscribe, and of course share, and check out some of my other videos. And until next time, see ya.